Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 127 live. I am doing today's podcast episode live. I've been doing that these last couple episodes, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Definitely let me know if you like it live better or if you like the pre-recorded format better. So if you are joining me for the live stream of this episode, definitely say hi. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you're working on and ask any questions throughout the episode, and I will do my best to answer them and keep up with chat. If you're watching this on the replay, I do have links to the things I'm going to talk about down below, and you can always leave a comment and I will come back and answer those questions later. So today I've got knitting and crocheting and crochet design to chat about. Got some really fun projects that I've been working on and I'm really excited to share them with you. So let's start out with something I've learned. I cut my knitting. Have you guys ever steeked a project before? Oh my goodness, it is so exciting to cut your knitting. Like, it's exciting and scary all at the same time. And I've heard some people, like I've watched some people do it for the first time and they're like, it's not scary. I still am legitimately scared and like keeping an eye on my project. Like, is this going to come undone? And I'll get into that. Oh, it looks like I've got some people joining this morning. Good morning, Lindsay. Good morning, Lacey. Lacey wrote me into a project that I'll be sharing also today. Working on my mittens. Oh, Lindsay is working on these wonderful fingering weight mittens out of her leftovers from the Lift Your Spirits mystery crochet along. They're really freaking cute. And good morning, Catherine. All right, so the project that I cut is Annie's little sweater. So this is a test knit that I'm doing for a crafty friend, Stephanie, who has the Crafty Garden podcast. And so I did link her channel down below if you have never checked her out. She's a wonderful knitter, spinner. She also crochets, but not as frequently. But it's been really fun to watch her journey to getting her own sheep. Oh, they're so cute. They're adorable little Shetland sheep. If you guys don't know, my technically ex-mother-in-law, Lori, sometimes she joins us in the morning when she's not at a herding clinic. She's got Shetland sheep. So I'm pretty familiar with them, how cute they are and how sweet of animals they can be. And anyways, Stephanie has some now and you can watch that journey over on her channel as well. So I definitely recommend checking out her channel. She's been on YouTube for a little while. She even has older sewing videos that are really fun. So this is her original design. It's her very first pattern. The name is still being kept a secret, and but she did say that I can share my progress on the test knit. This pattern is a baby's cardigan that is designed for newborn up to 2 years old. I am making the largest size, which is 18 to 24 months. The 2-year-old, which Annie's about in that size. She fits mostly 18 months right now, so this will be perfect for her to grow into. The yarn I'm using is the yarn she recommends for the pattern, which is Rauma Finull, which they kind of renamed. So if you buy an older one, it's called Rauma Finull yarn, and then it became Finull Part 2, and now it's just Finull. And this yarn is a fingering weight, but it's a Norwegian yarn, and it's a little bit different than a lot of the wools that people are used to and excited about. This is more of a rustic, I've also seen it described as a crisp wool, which is ideal for this style of colorwork knitting, this Fair Isle knitting. This yarn is very grabby and it wants to stick to itself, which is great for closing the gaps in between colorwork knitting. It also blooms when you wash it. So what that means is it kind of expands, and then when it dries, it grabs those yarns next to it, and then it'll shrink a little bit. But when it expands like that, it fills all the gaps. It grabs the yarn next to itself, and it makes it ideal for something like steeking, where you're cutting your work. It's less likely to come undone when it grabs to each other. So let me catch up in the chat real quick before I continue on, because I don't want to get too far behind. Good morning, Mocha. Oh, Catherine! Happy birthday! Today's my birthday and Hobbii. $500 yarn shopping spree. Oh my gosh, what did you get? You can get such an amazing quantity or quality. I'm really curious how you spent that and where. Happy birthday. Good morning, Marquita. Lacey, happy to voluntold you into the MCAL. Yeah, we will get into that. Lacey's such a great enabler, by the way, if you if you didn't know. And I agree with Lacey, Catherine. Never let him go. What a treat for your birthday. No wonder the chat is popping off. What an amazing birthday. And good afternoon, everybody. Okay, whoops. So back to the steeking. So I think that's what I was talking about, this yarn being great for steeking. So it's fingering weight, and I used 4 colorful colors down here, the blue, purple, pink, and orange, and this off-white for the main body. And so the cutting. So it's worked in the round so that you don't have to work color work on the wrong side, because this is what it looks like if you knit color work. You are knitting with 2 colors in one row, and the color you're not working with carries along the back and creates these color work floats. So that you don't have to turn back and forth for an open cardigan, these steeking stitches are put in place, and you secure them, and then you cut them open. And so there were actually steeking stitches placed along the neckline here when you do neckline shaping. And then also the sleeves were knit later, so there were steeking stitches in the armhole. So that's what I cut. I secured and I cut the neckline and the armholes already. And there are a couple different ways you can do that. In her pattern, she actually has links to video tutorials for each step of this sweater that might be a little bit confusing, which I super appreciate, even though the written pattern on its own was clear enough. I just watched the videos to like, okay, I've never steeked before. Like, am I doing this all right? And so she recommended securing your steek stitches with a sewing machine, and she walks you through how to do that. I didn't want to get my sewing machine out, and I knew there was a way to secure your steeks with crochet. And with crochet being something I'm most comfortable with, I went off and watched a tutorial on that. So I secured my steeks with what is very similar to like a surface crochet, and then cut my work. And then I'll go ahead and turn this inside out so you guys got to see it. All that's left is to secure this front steek, cut it open, and knit the button band and the neck band and sew on buttons. I'm very close to done. But let me turn this inside out and show you guys the inside, because this is nuts. I've been working on so many color work projects that literally last night all I did was weave in ends. I still have so many ends to weave in, and I feel like that's all I've been doing lately is weaving in ends for color work projects. So this is the inside of the sweater, and how fun do the floats look on the confetti top of the sweater? It is so cool. But as you can see, I cut my yarn every color stripe because I didn't want to fuss with carrying 4 colors up the sleeves at a time. Like, I just didn't want that many balls of yarn connected to my work. So I chose to cut them every color change. And now I have to weave them all in. I did it on this side. And you can see, because it's a different color than the main body, I kind of went around and around the end stitches so that it wouldn't leave kind of a bright color line behind this white background. But so the steeks, here are my leftover steek stitches, and I just kind of tacked them down with my tails. So I didn't sew it all the way down, just on the ends. So that's all that leftover stitches so it's crocheted and secured so it won't unravel. But then also, if for some reason it tried to, there's a couple extra stitches that are not going to come undone. Also, when this yarn is finished, it's going to bloom and grab. I don't think this is coming undone whatsoever. So there's another set of steeking stitches. And then there's the armhole steeks. This way? Yeah, so I just tacked them down at the ends. I could have sewed it down all the way, but I don't think you really need to do that. So those are the steeks that I cut. I still have to do this one, but it's been a lot of fun. I think this is making just the most adorable cardigan ever. I can't wait to finish it and get the buttons on it and put it on my 1-year-old. I think this is going to be so adorable. And I'm going to have a ton of yarn left over. I just dipped into my third skein and I don't think I'm going to use much of it. And I barely used like maybe a quarter, not even half of the multiple colors. So yeah, that is the test knit that I'm doing. I will share everything when the pattern is fully released. I don't think there's a release date, but I do feel like it'll probably be within the next 2 to 3 weeks as testers finish up. So yeah, let me catch up with chat here. I want to learn how to do crochet colorwork so bad. I don't usually make New Year's resolutions, but I'm making that one, master colorwork in the new year. Well, I think that's a great technique to take on in the new year, Lacey. It's so gorgeous. I love knitting colorwork and crochet colorwork, but it's definitely a more intermediate skill and something that takes practice for sure. I'm glad that I have a lot of experience knitting colorwork before knitting this because tension. It all comes down to tension. If you're pulling your yarn too tight and your floats are too tight, it's going to make everything messed up and wonky, especially when the colors are further apart. So yeah, it's definitely a technique to learn and master. If anyone needs some enabling, you guys just let me know. Thanks for having our back, Lacey. Oh, I shopped at Expression Fiber Arts, Michael's Lion Brand, and We Crochet. Did you just kind of go crazy with whatever yarn hit you inspirationally, or did you buy for specific projects? That's something that I like to do sometimes when I know I have a larger budget. I'll be like, ooh, I can afford a sweater's quantity out of this fancy yarn. Thank you. I think the sweater is adorable as well. I did not know that you prepare the steek with crochet. That makes me think it really is possible for crochet to be steeked. Oh, I want to do it. Yeah, I still have to like actually do some swatches and test it out. Because of the construction of knit stitches versus crochet stitches, like there's a chance that you might not even really have to secure crochet all that much because it is knotty on its own, but you would still want to use a more rustic wool like this, I think. I just need to do some swatches and prepare and play, but I think it's definitely possible. And Marquita saying good morning to Lacey. I'm making brunch. Oh yeah, you're good. Isn't it gorgeous, Marquita? This is why you got to continue learning to knit. It is so great having the ability to yield both techniques, both types of tools. I bought some specific yarns, but overall went crazy. Oh my gosh, that's the best birthday ever. And Expression Fiber Arts is in my bucket list of dyers that I want to buy from. Me too. I actually have never bought or tried any of their yarns, although I see that they frequently put out really good free crochet and knitting patterns if you're subscribed to their newsletter. So definitely do that because I did. And then they do have amazing, beautiful colorways. So it is also on my list. All right, so moving into other works in progress because I don't have any finished objects this week. I kind of didn't force myself to focus on any one thing, and I have been enjoying that a lot. So you guys get to see a little of everything again. So this is Lacey's fault. This is what I got roped into. She was like, you should do this mystery crochet along with me. And I was like, you know what? If I have yarn and stash, I will do it. So this is the Marley Bird Turkey Trot mystery. It's actually a mystery make along. So Marley Bird, I'm sure you guys know who she is. She's been the national spokesperson for Red Heart for a long time. I don't know if she still is, but she knits and crochets. She's a fabulous designer. I've taken some Crafty classes that she's put up on crochet design. Fabulous. So she does this mystery make along over the weekend of American Thanksgiving, and she even shared on her blog what she did kind of the last 2 years. There's been like a sweater and like a big giant, I think it was a shawl or poncho or maybe both. I don't remember specifically. I never participated before. You don't know what you're making. There's a knit version and there's a crochet version. And so the crochet version is worsted weight. The knit version is bulky. I don't really have a lot of either of those in stash, but I did find worsted weight in stash. So I'll show you the yarns. I had Trilogy Yarns that I had bought. My camera does not like to show purple at all. It wants to show purple as blue. That's so funny. So I have this Trilogy Yarns that I bought for a project and then decided to use a different yarn. So it's been sitting in stash. So this is their Trilogy Yarns, which I found out is like not in my backyard, but is in my state. Trilogy Yarns is based out of Spokane, Washington. So same state, which is always nice to find. This is the Superwash Worsted. This colorway is Nebula, and this colorway is Wicked. So those are the two hand-dyed yarns that I'm using. And then I needed a third color, and I found this in Stash, which is showing up pretty dark compared to what it is in real life. This is what I'm sure is Cascade Yarns 220 Superwash in the Christmas green colorway. There's no ball band, but I'm very certain that's what this is. And so I've paired these three together for this mystery make-along. So the very first clue came out on American Thanksgiving evening, and then the second clue came out yesterday. The third clue comes out today. I don't think it's out yet. I'm not quite caught up. I'm partially caught up. So if you're participating and you don't want to see, I am going to spoil it. So I'm sorry. You're going to have to either leave or get spoiled. So this is the clue through part 2. And mine is curling because I'm not really getting gauge. So there was no recommended hook size that I could see. It just said whatever hook you need to get gauge in stitch pattern, which is like the first couple of rows. Well, I did the first row, which was a foundation single crochet, and that's what I was basing my gauge off of. So I did it, and it was way too big for what the measurement said they should be. So I dropped down to a 4mm with worsted weight. And so then it measured what it was supposed to, but as I continued on in pattern, the pattern tightened up that foundation single crochet, and even this slip stitch embroidery that's done afterwards tightens it up. Well, it widens it, but then shortens the rows. It affected the gauge even more. So this is like a tight, dense fabric, but I'm not going back. Oh, and I should mention this pattern, she said to make 2. So pretty much it's either going to be mittens, slippers, or something really unique that combines your hands or your feet. So that's why I'm not completely caught up, because I've started the second one, but I haven't gotten my ends woven in or the surface, the slip stitch embroidery done yet. This slip stitch embroidery is really fun. Okay, so also I didn't mention, there's a lot of, it's worked this way. There's a lot of texture in this design, a lot of working in the third loop, which gives it really good texture, but that's also what tightens it up quite a bit. But what was really fun about this slip stitch embroidery is it reminds me of the design that I did for my very first magazine publication, the classic plaid poncho, where you do this woven surface crochet technique on the piece afterwards, except for this technique that she uses is slightly different. So when I did my surface crochet weaving, I had the yarn on the top, and you were working from back to front through these large gaps with the yarn on top. This technique, the yarn stays on the bottom, and you're grabbing and pulling it up from the bottom. And then instead of doing like a bottom surface crochet, what she has you do is slip your working loop. I know my camera's focusing weird. Maybe if I move my face. She has you slip your work under the same color when you get to that row. And that makes this really cool woven look just on those areas. But I really do enjoy the detail and the way that it turned out. Let's see. Lindsay, you might be right. This could be an ear flap hat. I would have never guessed, but it really could be an ear flap hat. So the reason I was thinking socks or mitts was the measurements. It was like the small is 8 inches wide at the beginning, and then for the next sizes up is 9, 10, 11, and I literally, oh, I can't say that. Never mind. Let's just say I'm familiar with some foot sizes. So immediately I was thinking we're making slippers or socks, but hands and wrist measurements are very similar to making socks as well. But I would have never thought that we could be making an ear flap hat. This is what makes mystery crochet alongs so much fun. Maybe that's where we're going. Oh, I hope. I've been wanting like a ear flap hat lined with that Lion Brand gopher faux. I feel like, oh, wouldn't that just be so cool and cozy? If that's not what we're doing, maybe that's something that I should do. I'm skipping around here. Yay for Yarny Friends. First year not doing the MCAL alone. I am so excited to be doing it along with you, Lacey. It has been a lot of fun. And I'm glad I had the yarn and stash. Expression Fiber Arts is 30% off site-wide yesterday and today. Catherine, how lucky are you to get to shop with birthday money on Black Friday weekend? Oh my gosh, what a time to have your birthday. And Lacey says, Trilogy Yarn was my first fave indie dyer. I just love her and her backstory. Yeah, she has a great backstory if you'd like to read it. But yeah, have the tissues handy. Her yarns are all 25% off this weekend. Look at that. There are so many yarn deals going on this weekend. It is absolutely crazy. And I just keep looking the other way because I went nuts around Halloween time and I have to recover. Yours is so pretty. Thank you. I'm in Clue 2 right now. Excuse the shade. The pattern is kind of confusing and lacking in Clue 2. My opinion only, and I love Marley Bird and her patterns. So, I think what Lacey's talking about here is the fact that instead of writing out every color change, she made a note at the beginning and was like, continue changing colors in established color pattern, and then just focused on writing out the shaping. So if that's something that, you know, you'd prefer written out with it, it's not. And then for where the columns go, she did create a diagram for the slip stitch embroidery, which I used, and I also watched. There's a video tutorial for each clue that you can follow along on her channel. So I've been using that in addition to the written pattern. If so, it's a little big. It is a really long flap. Yeah, good point. Because I'm making this small, so I can't imagine. It's such a pretty pattern and color. Thank you. Yeah, I was having a hard time finding, I knew that I wanted to use these two yarns. I was having a hard time finding a third color. I looked at a gray and stash, and I looked at a darker green, and I ultimately went with this green because it does match the pop of color in the variegated. Had I known this was where we were going, I would have used a light gray instead of this black. I think that would have made a cuter plaid color, but you don't know what you don't know, and I'm not upset about it. It's fun. And it's something I wouldn't have picked on my own. So I kind of like that surprise about it. It's unlike any colors that I've made anything out of before. Oh, and with my gauge being on the smaller size, if this doesn't end up fitting, luckily I've got kids and I can just give it to them and it should fit them if it's too small for me. My initial guess was fingerless mitts that go up the arm. Then I thought slippers. Now I have no idea. My sneaking suspicion at this point is that it's mittens. So this would fit my hand pretty well right now, and this could wrap around to close around the wrist. Whoops. But it is a little short. And I don't know what we would be doing next. But like my designer mind says at this point, I think it's mittens. But we don't know. Catherine, I have to go in there and find me some yarn. Yeah, it would be a good time to try out some Expression Fiber Arts. That's the main problem. Between the color change night and there being different numbers of rows for different sizes. I'm sorry that I spoiled you, Lacey. I should have warned you before you joined today. Maybe you want to come in 30 minutes into the podcast because I'm spoiling our mystery crochet along. Luckily, it will end before I share my progress again, so I will not be spoiling the next clues for you. It's also kind of your fault. There are so many ends to weave in. That's the other thing is like, I don't know if I would have chosen this pattern knowing what it is because of so many ends. This also creates 2 per stripe. So, and I've already woven in half of the ends on this. It's just, I've been weaving in ends nonstop. So that is one of my other works in progress. Another work in progress is the one that I've been dying to start. It is a new design, and it's what I'm calling the Everyday Swing Cardigan. And I feel like I might plan to do this more than one pattern. So I might change the name like everyday swing cardigan light because I'm using sport weight so that I can also release a worsted. And I'm also thinking about releasing it in children's sizes as well because it is going so unbelievably well. I don't know if you guys have seen on my channel, I did a lot of research about Raglan cardigans, Raglan shape sweaters in general, and I put out a video that was modern adjustments for Raglan sweaters for a better fit and why Raglan sweaters don't fit very well in general. And so if you're unfamiliar with the Raglan shape, it's super popular because you can make a sweater that's seamless. People don't like to seam. They want a seamless pattern. So Raglan is an option. You can do top down or bottom up. In the video, I focused on top down. One of the reasons top down Raglan sweaters are super popular is because you can try them on as you go, which is especially great when you're designing because you know that it's working out the way that you expected it to. So with a Raglan sweater, so it depends. I'm making specifically a cardigan, so I'll talk about cardigans. On a cardigan, there are seams. So I call them spines when I write my notes. There's a spine at the front, 2 spines at the front, one at the front of your shoulder, on each of your shoulders, and then one at the back of each of your shoulders. So those are on pullovers. And then a cardigan, you have an additional spine in the front. So you're increasing on either sides of these spines. And in a traditional Raglan shaped sweater, you're increasing at the same rate the entire time. This assumes that the front of your body and the back of your body and your sleeves are all increasing at the same rate, but they don't. So it's really easy to follow, but the sweater doesn't fit very well. So when I sat down to design this, I looked at each section of in between those spines as their own panel, as if I was designing it to be seamed, but it's not. And so each section has their own increase rates. It's a little more difficult to write. It will be a little more difficult to follow, but it fits like a glove, you guys. I'm so excited. So here is my progress so far. I'm using Stardust Fiber Studios, and I've been saying it wrong. And I'm going to say it wrong again because I looked it up and I already forgot. Delphinus Sport. I kept saying Delphinius and it's not. It's like Delphinus Sport. It's named after the constellation. So I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's a 100% superwash merino, and you guys, I would swear that there's cashmere in here. This is how soft this yarn is. And this is the Pumpkin Queen colorway. This is the new Knittery exclusive colorway that's based on my favorite color, which is why I have a sweater quantity of it. I did put the link to their website down below. They don't have the exclusive colorways on their website yet, but you can call or email to place a custom order. So let me try it on for you and show you just how amazingly well this fits. Oh, I'm so excited. I've never had a cardigan fit me so well. And this is kind of what got me on this journey of like researching why Raglans don't fit well and what I can do to make a better fitting Raglan, because I do like top-down seamless Raglans, but in my experience, and I frogged an entire cardigan because of this. Well, okay, so it's 2 parts. Part 1 is most designers don't make my size. Most designers start to fit a 34-inch bust, and I have a 32-inch bust. So I'm already 2 inches off. Then they usually add 4 inches of ease. So I'm 6 inches of positive ease for something that's going to just fall off my shoulders. So that's part 1. And then part 2 is that basic Raglan shaping, it puts way too many stitches in your cross back. And so my armpits would come like way out to here, which this looks like that, but that's because I have wide fronts. And I'll show you why later. But this is actually snug to my cross back. Let me see if I can show you. Can you see that? It's snug fitting to my cross back. So I don't have to worry about this falling off my shoulders. It's snug there. It's snug here. And so then the reason why this is called a swing cardigan, I do not like cardigans that don't have fronts to them. it's part of why they also fall off, but I also like to cover the front of my body. I don't know. It's more comfortable to me. I'm a very comfortable person. Like, you guys don't know because you only see the top half of me. Like, literally every Saturday live stream, I'm in sweatpants, you guys. Like, I like to be comfy. So part of that is having extra wide fronts. So you can see the way that I've done the increases on the front panels here, we're actually going across the whole body. We're not stopping here. We're continuing to go across the body. And once the collar, there's going to be a long rolled collar, like folded collar of ribbing. Once that's on, you're going to have a ton of extra fabric that just puddles, not puddles, but like it's folded up on itself like this. So it will still be open, but you'll have this fabric cascading in the front with a rolled ribbing. It's based off my favorite cardigan that's store-bought with my own personal tweaks. And I love it so much. This is like, I cannot even, you guys. I'm so excited about this cardigan. It's fitting like a glove. It's wearing like a glove. There is no falling off at all. And I'm so excited to be able to bring this shape and this fit to a wide variety of sizes. So I'm using the ASTM standard for sizing to size this sweater. So I sat down, I did the math for at least the body. I still have to go back and do some minor math for the sleeves and the it's not a button band because I'm not putting buttons on it, but this part, the collar and front ribbing. I did all the math for that, and I've actually started writing the pattern as I'm following the math because I found with the Ice Cream Party Cardi, when I did all the math and followed the math, then had to go back and write it, my mind had kind of disassociated from the math a little bit, and I made more mistakes when I wrote it, which cost me more tech editing time. So this time, I'm writing the pattern as I follow the math to make sure that I make less mistakes when I write the pattern. So yeah, I've got it written up to right before you start. Well, I've only written it up to when you stop doing the front increases at your natural waist. I got sidetracked. I'm so excited. I'm sizing it from a standard woman's size 0 up to a 32 wide. So it will be sized to fit a bust for 32 inches, which is the size that I'm making, up to 56 inches. So I'm really excited to get this out and have this tested. And like, if it fits other people the way it fits me, I love it. So yeah, I'm so excited about this pattern. Let's see. Right here. I'm trying to catch up in chat. Sorry. And she said that we should be able to guess the project with today's clue. Well, I'm super excited. And we're only 3 days in. So if you guys want to jump in the make along with Marley Bird's Turkey Trot, there's crochet and there's knit. It's free with an option to pay for the PDF download, but you can follow the pattern for free on her blog and her free videos on YouTube. Oh no, you didn't spoil the mystery. Your level of pattern writing. Oh, your level of pattern writing spoiled me from other. Oh, thank you, Lacey. I go into a lot of details and break down every little step, maybe a little more, which is surprising because I really did enjoy the way that Marley wrote her patterns. But that section is kind of a shortcut of pattern writing where you say continue in this color pattern and then do this shaping. I try not to pull things out like that because it's annoying as the pattern follower to have to do this shaping and do this color changing and at the same time do this when you could write it out. It does take more work. But thank you, Lacey. That's a very sweet compliment. You guys, the tonal dimensions on this yarn is everything. The dramatic spectrum of the tonal range in that yarn is gorgeous. Yes, this is Stardust Fiber Studio, who is a local indie dyer to me, and they have amazing colorways outside of the New Knitteries exclusive collection of colors. They on their own website are slowly releasing colorways inspired by tarot and tarot cards that are absolutely gorgeous. And this sport base, I can't speak to their other bases, but this sport base is amazing. I forgot to mention, so thank you for bringing that up, Lacey. I am alternating skeins of yarn here just to make sure the colors blend seamlessly, which as you can tell, I mean, you can kind of see, I know where I changed colors. So like right here, right after I split for the bust, I took one of the colors I was using and I set it aside so that I can use it when I start on the sleeves again for a more seamless join. And so you can kind of barely, I just know that it's there. See that I changed. I kept one hank the same. This one that's, oh, this is the one that I saved. Where's the other one? This one. So I saved this for the sleeves for later. I had to wind this one because it started collapsing. So I finished winding it by hand. So I'm going to continue till that's gone. This should be halfway gone by that point, and I'll join another one to try to seamlessly not have any harsh lines between the hand-dyed skeins. Because even though I'm sure they were all dyed together, the yarns take dye differently, and depending on the different techniques that are used, you will have a slight difference from hank to hank. I haven't finished writing the whole thing. I don't know if I'm going to run out of yarn still, especially with how wide the button band's going to be, because I'm planning on it being like this wide. Like it's going to be massive. I don't know if I'm going to run out of yarn yet. I'm just going to continue going and see. I feel like getting this far into the cardigan and only using, I've probably used about a skein and a half. And I have 6 total. So I feel like I'm sitting well. I'm happy with it. Let's see. I am making this cardigan as soon as it is released, and I'm using that brand of yarn. It's so good. It's pricey. I'm not gonna lie. You have definitely save up for it, or maybe it's something you can fit into your budget, because I want to say around $28 per hank. And obviously, if you need bigger sizes, you're gonna need more yarn. It's a pricey sweater, but if there's ever a time to treat yourself, at least it's gonna be for a well-fitting cardigan that you want to wear every day. Because I know I'm never going to take this thing off. Tarot cards. Yeah. Lindsay, definitely check out their Instagram they've got all the pictures posted. That's so pretty. Thank you, Habiba. Thank you. They have 25% off and free shipping right now with coupon code. I am picking my colors. I'm sorry. I don't know how to, I don't know how much you're going to need yet. But yeah, I guess they're having a good sale. And hi. Hi. I hope you're having a good morning. What are you working on today? All right. So yes, that is the Everyday Swing cardigan. I don't even want to take it off. Like, it's not even done. I don't want to take it off. The other thing I didn't mention is part of what I looked into with Raglan Shaping was the fact that the constant rate, and you can see my rate of increases here. Do you see how they slow down and this line curves to your body instead of being typically it's a straight line, and it comes out further than your armpit, which creates extra fabric here. Some designers will put a negative ease in that area to tighten it, and they'll cast on less underarm stitches to tighten that. I went the opposite way. So I changed my rate of increases so that it slowed down to curve to the body. I stopped at the upper bust measurement, and then I cast on extra stitches than you normally would for your underarm to add to the bust, because this is designed for women primarily, although you could wear it if you're a man. I don't feel like clothes should have gender, but when it comes to sizing, for an average woman's body or an average male's body, it's easy to group into genders for sizes. So this is using a woman's size chart, and women have different sized full bust measurements compared to the upper bust measurements. So I've sized this for an average of a B cup, which is a positive 2 inches. So I really took a lot into consideration when designing this cardigan, which I think is why it fits so well. I'm so excited. All right, I will stop gushing, but this is my current favorite project, and it's such a treat to work on with my other projects I've got going on. And at this point, I'm only increasing the front panels, so it's pretty mindless. I've got a marker to keep track of. This marker is actually the side. When I see it, the row that I'm working on is not increased, and then the next row is. So yeah, very excited about this. I do have one other work in progress to share. It's one that I showed last week, and I have not put a lot of work into it, but I still think it's worth showing. it is the Twister top. And as much as I very much appreciate all of the help about my collapsing skein, I did end up recaking it. So I was crocheting away on this top, and it kept collapsing and it kept collapsing, and I was trying to keep it nice and tight. But when I pulled, because I was pulling from the center because of the direction of the colors, one of the times when I pulled, like a whole glob of mess came out, and I had to spend like 20 minutes untangling it because I didn't want to cut it. I didn't want to mess up the color striping sequence. And at that point I knew I need to rewind this. So after the giant glob came out of the center and I was able to untangle that, I then started winding from the outside of the giant cake and so that outside is now the center, and I'm now pulling from the outside of this cake. So there should no longer be any more tangling going on. Thank goodness. So this is Hobie Halloween Twister, which I believe their Black Friday sale is still going on, and they have some of the Halloween yarns still available. I do think I linked that one down below. I also linked to Trilogy and where I bought my Finull garn and the new knittery for the exclusive colorway. So I do think I linked everywhere I bought my yarns down below. But yeah, so I did rewind that. I'm not quite ready for splitting yet. So this is I wanted to do a top-down garment that did not split the colors of the yarn, because I didn't want to have to, typically you come back and do the sleeves later, like with my cardigan. I'm going to come back and do the sleeves later, and if I was using a gradient, they would end up in a weird part in the pattern. So instead, I tried to wrap my mind around how would I make a top-down garment that includes the sleeves with it. The only way that I could figure it out in my mind was for it to be a t-shirt. And so yeah, I did some extra shaping at the top to add sleeves, and I do need to do that shaping on the first row. I mentioned that I didn't do it on the first row in this sample, so I have kind of this lip that sticks up. The other thing is this has to be a boat neck. The way that the construction worked in my mind, it has to be a boat neck. Boat necks are not my favorite tops, but if you have to do it to get a gradient top, then so be it. But this row does not have the shaping in it, and so it kind of sticks up. And so I will eliminate that in the final pattern. But for now, this is where we're sitting. And I did measure my gauge at this point, because this one, I didn't do a gauge swatch and do the math in advance like I normally do. I just started and guesstimated the sleeve addition that I needed and was like, that might work. So I continued. It looks like it's going well. I finally did measure my gauge to get an idea of when I need to split the body from the sleeves. And that's where things get a little bit interesting, because depending on how many stitches I have and how many I need for my bust circumference, that's going to determine how many stitches are left for my sleeve, how many rows are left for my sleeve. So I did do the math of how many rows I need to work to have the depth deep enough to they call it side depth, arm side, the armhole depth. And then, so I know how many stitches I need to keep for my body, but I didn't do the math to figure out how many stitches would be left over for my sleeve yet. So it's just one of those things where I think it's going to be enough. It looks like it's going to be enough and still have decent length sleeves. They are going to be extra, a lot of positive ease in the sleeve because of the way this is constructed. But you can see I'm getting close. I can close the sleeves right now, but it's really tight around my underarm. And because of this construction, I'm not going to be able to add, well, yeah, I don't think I could add extra stitches here. So what I'm going to have to do instead is keep going down, which is going to leave a lot of positive ease in the sleeves. But who's going to complain about that for a t-shirt? It's kind of cute the way that it ripples, right? So I'm excited to continue working on this. The only thing is this twister is a cotton acrylic sport weight yarn. And it is not like the Stardust Fiber Studios. This is a 100% superwash merino sport weight, so it's fluffy and it works up to a bigger gauge. Because of the cotton is fine and heavy. This is working up to a tiny, tiny, tiny gauge. Like, so tiny. Look at that. Is it gonna, there it goes. It's such a tiny gauge. I'm at the point now where every round is taking me close to an hour. And I still have a good, like, an inch and a half to go before I can split. And that's at least probably maybe 5 more rows. So it's at least 5 hours away from splitting. I mean, it drapes and swings wonderfully. And I think it's going to be an amazing top when it's done. It's just a very slow project. So, whoa, I don't have a name for it other than I've been tangled myself. Other than I've been calling it the Twister Tee. So let me go ahead and catch up with you all. Amanda says, I am cardigan obsessed and I've really been wanting to actually make one. I can't wait for the pattern. Oh, I think you're going to like this one, especially if I graded it the right way. And I do believe that I did. I'm currently working on a Tunisian pullover by Blue Star Crochet. Oh, that sounds really nice. I did see that TL Yarn Crafts Tunisian crochet handbook came out. It looks really nice. I'm just not super into Tunisian crochet. I think it's because it generally imitates the look of knitting and I know how to knit. So I just feel like it's not something I'm interested in adding to my repertoire at the moment, but it is a great way for crocheters to get a more knit-like fabric. So I do see why it's popular. I bet the pullover is gorgeous. What kind of yarn are you using? Oh man, that orange to purple gradient is coming out so nice, isn't it? And then, oh, the purple to black. I'm going to love this top so much. Amanda, I'm already in love with that twister top. Thank you. Yeah, I don't even know if I have enough yarn for this one either. I have 2 cakes of twister. They're 250 grams, so it's 500 grams. It should be enough. I've made a top for myself out of like 200 grams of fingering weight before. It was a lace knit project, but we'll see. Oh, and this is linked double crochet. I think I forgot to mention that. The whole thing was to design also to make sure that you wouldn't have to wear anything underneath this top. I didn't want it being see-through, which cotton can tend to make the fabric that way. Even though this is only a cotton blend, you cannot see through it at all. At all. That linked double crochet makes such a nice closed fabric with an acrylic cotton blend. I really, really enjoys it. That one is really exciting too. Thank you, Lacey. And thank you, Catherine. It's coming along very well. Thank you so much, everyone. This was an exciting idea and I love the boat neck sweater. Thank you, Marquita. It does seem up your style. I could definitely see you wearing this top. I think Hobie should snatch up your twister tee pattern. They have so many twister style cakes. That's really what they are known for. Well, that's the whole goal, right? That's what I'm hoping. A lot of people that I've seen on social media, I shouldn't say a lot, but many people I've seen, they grab these cakes and then they're like, I don't know what to do with them. Or they mostly get made into shawls. And I'm like, why not garment? Sport weight and single crochet. Way more patient than I have. This one is half double crochet, but still it is your sport weight. It is, okay, I do want to share too while we're talking about it, because I've talked about how the twister is a very fine sport weight, almost looks fingering. This is the merino sport weight, and like there is just a huge range within sport weight. Like this, to me, this sport weight is almost DK. It is an almost DK weight yarn. So this one is going a lot faster, and it feels, to me, it feels like I'm working with a DK weight yarn, whereas this one feels like fingering weight for sure. Even though they're both technically sport weight and working up to sport weight gauges. One's just on the very fine side of sport weight. One's on the very heavy side of sport weight. And oh yeah, so the orange is half double crochet. This one is linked double crochet. So it's not single crochet. It just looks like it a little bit because when you work into that body of the double crochet, it leaves this line kind of like what you see with single crochet. Oh my God, your camera is showing that the purple on that yarn. Oh yeah, it is showing the purple. Will it show the purple in this one now? Nope. I guess it just doesn't like these more violet purples for whatever reason. The blue or purples just come off as blue. But this one, yeah, it's so vibrant. And maybe it's because it's next to the orange. I'm not super strong on color theory, so I know it all has to do with the white balance of my camera, so. Angora Wool Blend Sport Weight by Ice Yarns. I have yet to work with Ice Yarns. It's so dreamy. It's oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to it as well. That sounds gorgeous. An Angora Wool Blend Tunisian pullover. Oh, it sounds so cozy too. So I have one like blanket poncho that is a wool Angora alpaca blend, and it is so cozy and warm. Like it just traps your heat in the most wonderful way. Oh, that sounds gorgeous. Link double crochet and sport weight you. Still have more patience than me. Yeah, it is a patient project for sure. But for me, it's worth it, because if I was going to make this in a thicker weight yarn, because originally I bought 2 cakes to hold double to really thicken that. Sport weight held double is going to give you something like between a DK and a worsted weight. And I thought this is going to zoom by. But when I worked up the swatch of it, it was heavy. It was thick and it was heavy. And I just knew this was not going to be comfortable. This by itself, even though it's slower, look how thin it is. It's still thicker than your average t-shirt, obviously, but it's wearable and comfortable, and that's what I was going for. So I have to do it to get what I want. I will say your Lift Your Spirit shawl really made me fall in love with fingering weight yarn. Oh, yay! I'm so glad to give you the fingering weight bug. It takes patience. It takes time, but you get such a lovely drape, and it allows you to add very fine detail. I could not have made those ghosts without having such a small scale to work on to really add that fine detail. And worsted weight, to get that level of detail, you've seen people make that shawl in worsted weight. I know because you're in the Facebook group. The worsted weight versions of that shawl are massive. You would have to make a piece so large to get that detail, which I made the piece large in fingering weight anyways, because I wanted lots of ghosts. I love that design so much. Yeah, that twister is definitely fingering weight. How many yards are in the twister per 100 grams? Well, this is a 250 gram yarn. Like, look how big it was. It's massive. There were 1,000 meters or 1,093 yards per 250 grams. So I don't even know where I put my phone. Let's see. Well, I don't want to do that math right now because it's got a 0.5 in it. So I don't know. I would say half of that is going to put you around like 500 to 600 yards. I mean, it's really on the line. It's on the line. And part of the yardage comes from the weight of the fiber itself, and cotton is heavy. So you get less yardage per weight anyways. Like thickness is what I mean by weight. So I think we had this chat one of the other times I was live too. I think it's listed as a sport, as Mocha mentioned, because of it's the gauge that it works up to. It fits in a sport weight gauge in its finished fabric, even though it is so thin. It works up a little thicker than you would expect, just enough to push it out of an actual fingering weight range. Catherine, I've never heard of link double crochet. You know, I wish I could remember where I found it. I think it was in a book called The Crochet's Workbook or Workshop. I got it one year for Christmas. So one of my local yarn stores is called Ben Franklin Crafts, and there's not very many of them. It's a very small chain. And one year for Christmas, one of my younger brothers got me a gift card, and I went in there and I was really wanting to learn more about designing crochet. This had to be around 2017, 18, like right after I put out my hollow web shawl pattern. I had the bug. I didn't have the knowledge or experience to really be designing complicated things, which is what I like to dream up in the design world. So I found this like workbook or workshop to expand your crochet skills, and it started going into detail about how to shape fabric and how to do things in stitch patterning, and it had some how to design elements to it. And in there, I think, is where I saw the link double crochet stitch. And I was like, what is this? My mind is blown. And then after that, I went to the internet, and I think I really like Moogly Blog's video tutorials for stitches. I think I found one that she had done and really solidified the concept that way. The only thing is there are not a lot of patterns that actually use this stitch in it, which is why I think not a lot of people know what it is. And I watched a really cool video. Summers Crochet something is her channel name. I wish I could remember it. And she did the same sweater in double crochet and then link double crochet. The link double crochet does change your gauge significantly. So you can't just substitute it in a sweater pattern or a top pattern, because the way that it's worked, it shrinks your rows a little bit and it tightens your stitch count. Obviously, it's closing those gaps. So you can't just sub it. You really need to follow a pattern that calls for it. So I think that's one of those missing elements. There definitely needs to be more patterns that use it. So that's another thing that's fun and exciting about this one, is I haven't really seen any link double crochet garments either. Let's see. Lacey did the math for me. Thank you. 437-ish yards per 100 grams. That is a fingering weight range yardage for sure. I feel like I've seen this base of yarn and under other yarn labels listed as fingering weight. It's just, maybe it's just a branding call at that point, because it's like right on the line. Maybe because you can't work it into the finer side of the fingering weight gauge, they decided not to count it as fingering weight. We had a Ben Franklin's in Tennessee, and I loved it. Yeah, Ben Franklin's is really fun when it comes to the variety of things that they sell. I know they try to stay with things that are trending and move their stuff around. They've got a lot of stuff for a variety of hobbyists and crafts. They are really a craft store because they only have a small selection of yarns. And my Ben Franklin's carries mostly big box stores, and then some of the other less big box store, but also very large yarn brands like Cascade Yarns, and maybe that's the only other one. So, because yeah, they carry a lot of Lion Brand, Premier, Cascade, Red Heart, Bernat, Karen. I think those are, it's kind of the areas that I've seen currently. So I don't go there very often, but they're literally like right down the street from me. I got distracted. Sorry. I was thinking about, they're like right next to the closest grocery store to me too. And they have their own coffee shop, like that's attached to the store, Ben's Espresso. Anyways, they've got floral stuff to make your own floral displays, like the fake floral displays, a lot of home decoration stuff. They've got hobby work, paint supplies, drawing supplies. They've got their whole framing center for framing cross stitch pieces or other art. They've got an entire section before like do you call it a Cricut or a Cricut? You know, those machines that cut things out for you. They like had a whole section that's old school that you would like get your stencil and punch stuff out yourself out of construction paper or whatever material. They'd had all the stencils there. They used to have a huge jewelry department, but that started slowly becoming adult coloring book department with all those fancy markers and pens. Sorry, I'm going on a whole tangent about Ben Franklin's. You can buy online from them, I believe. But yeah, it's a pretty good local craft store to have, even though it's a smaller chain. I grew up with a Ben Franklin up the street. That was the store that first fed my craft appetite. Oh, so I didn't realize it was such a widespread store, because I think we only have 2 of them in our state. Cool. I'll look for it. Thank you. I will look that up. Sounds interesting. Yeah, link double crochet. It's really fun and interesting and gives a nice fabric. Even if you were just to make like a little square to see what it's like, I really enjoy it for these cotton acrylic blends, or acrylic in general, or not acrylic, cotton in general. If you're looking for something to close those gaps, if you want a wearable out of cotton that's not going to be see-through, Try it out. I feel like I may have to design a link double crochet. Lacey, do it! For sure. Like, Lacey has been cranking out the most gorgeous hats. And I know she has one in the works that I've kind of like started but haven't been working on a lot. I think you should, maybe this would, well, I don't know, cotton really drapes. So maybe not a cotton hat, but give it a try. Give it a try. It's something, and I feel like the line, like here's something that would be fun to explore. The line that's left over from the link double crochet, this is so small, it's hard to see. You could work into that later. It would be something that you could like have fun with that later. Amanda, since you're in Cascade Yarns land, do they have a store there? Yeah, they are a Washington-based company. I don't think they have a store. As far as I know, they don't actually have a brick and mortar store. I could be wrong. I've never actually searched for it, but I feel like it would be something that I've heard about or could go visit. I don't think they have one. Lacey, there is an online option. There you go, benfranklinonline.com. Thank you, Lacey. And hi, Samantha. Thanks for joining the live stream, even though you're catching the end, and I'm going to be wrapping up here soon. Thank you for stopping in. Oh boy, I'm thinking that it might actually be better for our hat project. Oh, that's an idea. We might have to swatch for that and see instead. I think that could be fun. And it will take it kind of to a different level. I like it. I like it. Let me think about that, Lacey. Because I'm only a couple rows into the hat that we're working on, so I could easily rip out. I think I just hit full increases. What is this, Mocha? Lots of spaces? Is YouTube broken? Or maybe it's not YouTube. Maybe it's just StreamYard. I've never actually just done a stream from YouTube before, so I don't really know the difference. I like having the ability to pull up your guys' comments. I think it's fun for the replay, as well as the ability to share my slides. And StreamYard, actually, I saw they came out with a new feature in their program that allows me to share the slide from within the program instead of a browser. So I'm super excited about that. I've been just having a lot of family time lately, so I don't know if you guys have noticed, I haven't been putting up as many videos as usual, but I'm still in the background designing. But eventually I'll get back to probably pre-recorded episodes, and then my live streams can be more reviews like they were before and other chats that I prep and research. I just have been spending time with family instead of doing all the prep work. Yes, let's see. Lacey, the enabler has struck again. That is Lacey. That's weird. LOL. Did you say anything, Mocha? Did it delete what you said on my end, or did it just randomly just say nothing? Who decided to give the enabler link privilege? That was my fault. Yeah, I gave you link privileges. I'm not taking it back. And actually, it's kind of nice to be able to have you guys as mods who can share links in the chat, because that helps me not lose track of what I'm saying while I'm trying to talk about something. So thank you, Lacey. Oh yeah, we do have that ability now, don't we? I trust that you won't misuse it. I trust you all. It was random. It's just StreamYard. It's like we just Mocha's here in silence. They're calling you out as a lurker, even though you've been chatting. All right, you guys, that was everything that I wanted to chat about this morning. I usually try to go live for an hour. So I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining me live. And if you're catching the replay, do let me know down below how you feel about the live stream podcast episodes. Because if you don't like them live, I can go back to pre-recording them and start doing a little more work for something else to chat about live on Saturdays. But I hope, I skipped Let's Chat. Sorry. We'll have to chat more next week. I hope you guys had a great American Thanksgiving if you celebrated it. I know we did. And yeah, today we're going to be putting up Christmas decorations. We're going to pull our tree out, put it up, and start decorating for Christmas. My kids are very excited about that. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and thanks for joining me. And until next time, guys, happy crafting.